Alright, g'day there. Richard MUSGRAVE-EVANS here again, and welcome back. Now today, I'm back in outback South Australia, back on one of my favourite river systems, but this time I'm going to be doing something a little different. What I've got planned is I'm going to be painting on the clear prime Belgian linen again, so I've got a nice neutral surface, and this time I want the maximum effect with the minimal amount of work. So there's going to be a lot of the raw linen left showing in the painting. So for me, the biggest thing is knowing what to leave out. Now this should be a bit of fun. Stay tuned. Alright, g'day there. Richard MUSGRAVE-EVANS here again, and welcome back. Today, back on the river, kookaburras, the whole thing. It's great. It's a light overcast day. I'm working on the clear prime Belgian linen again, so it's a fairly raw colour. And the surrounding colours are very similar, so I'm going to try and take advantage of all that. We'll see how we go with that. Just put a few lines in to get me started. I'll be using tons of oil paint again and palette knives. Right, let's get into it. Okay. What's the main thing that I would want to do now? I reckon I'll put a few darks in. Stick a few darks in first, I reckon. So establish a few of them. Alright, so alizarin crimson, maybe a bit of viridian green, that's pretty dark. It's just on the water's edge here. Pluck a few of those in. Higgledy piggledy. A few trees there, so I'll just put a few darks for their potential shadows. A little bit of dark there maybe. A couple of bits of dark here and there. Right. Now just go a little bit lighter, so I'll use some ultramarine blues. Already got a little bit of paint here from yesterday. I was doing a painting yesterday. So I've got a little bit of wet paint left on the palette and a little bit of messy stuff from last time, half mixed, and I've left it there, so if I need some light tones I don't necessarily have to go to the pure white, I can go to this one. Right, what do we got? So we'll go a bit of magentas and blues. Just trying to knock in a few shadow tones that are a little bit receded from where I am now. Got a few different banks heading out. I've got the foreground one, middle ground. So on and so on. Right, let's have a look at this. That one will be about somewhere in there. There. Feeling in the shadows as I go. There we go, just putting a few of those darker tones in, don't have to be exact. I can put the light on later, I'm just trying to get a feeling for the composition. A bit more blue, a bit more white, slightly lighter tone now, so proceeding to the next distance out here somewhere. There we go, something like that. Right, now I'll go for some white, ultramarine blue. I'm just going to knock up a bit of a sky colour. I can still use those light tones again. Some sort of light neutrally blue. Block that down low near the horizon there. There we go. It started off fairly sunny this morning, I thought, you beauty. It's coming a bit overcast. But just don't let it worry you too much, just go with what's happening on the day. That's the thing with plein air painting, you just make something out of the day, and quite often you can get a really good painting from something that you didn't expect was going to happen. So I've just gone a few more ochre colours now, yellow ochres, burnt siennas, to give that kind of light overcast. Yep. Just put that in. Like so. A little bit of straight blue and white, a much cleaner blue here. What I'm trying to do now is just put some of the pure blue sky that is shining through in places. Up the top there's some pure blue sky shining. Stick a bit of that in. Look at that. Bird life's beautiful out here. So much bird life out here. Activity's fantastic. Alright, that's going good. Now what I might do is knock up a bit of that water reflection colour that you can see just there, which is today some yellow ochres, burnt sienna, viridian green. Got a little bit of the sky blue dragged into it. Just make it up on the day, get it the right blend for the particular day itself. It's not too bad, we'll just put that in first. Work with that to start with. A bit more burnt sienna. It's a little bit browner back here. Put a half mix of other stuff in there too. Okay. Just going to mix up a bit of magenta and other things there that I can half mix in that, because in the distance back here it's got a little bit more of that stuff thrown in as well. So throw that in. Alright. And pull through nicely. Oh, the sun's out, look at that. A little beauty. Alright. A bit more yellow ochres, burnt siennas, viridian green. Swing a bit more green in it. Just here, straight down. Get some paint on the linen. Very enjoyable being out here painting. Yeah, painting on this linen is actually very good for a day like that. There's so many tones like that in there. Seems to work well. Alright. Let's mix up a neutral tone, some bit of sky blues. The other stuff. Just want to get a little bit more magenta than that in there. Feel it as you go. There we go. It's all that beautiful reflection of the sky coming down. A little bit more of the watercolour itself. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. Those birds sound fantastic. Just pull through to soften all those tones together. Maybe blend these together a bit better. Let's have a look. Just jolting the palette knife up and down to get them to come together a bit. Still working very much this way, occasionally go this way and this way. It seems to give the feeling of water. Pull through. Just do a quick bin run. And then a little bit more blending. Just want to keep that water beautiful and soft. I might just go really tranquil today. We'll pull straight through like so. Because it is extremely reflective today, so those downward marks like that are really wiping it off clean each time. Really give the feeling of a tranquil, beautiful day on the river. There we go, look at that. Let's have a look at what we got. Okay. Now for the next biggest difference is I'll get some of the foliage on the trees. I think that'll be the next one. Bit of magenta in that watercolour that I was using. Just to grey it off a bit. Some yellow ochres, burnt siennas, viridian greens. But a little bit of that blue and magenta might just grade a bit. Let's have a look. Yeah, just a little bit more sky blue and magenta throw in to knock it back a bit. Because it's a slight overcast day, the foliage tends to have that colour about it. And I'm just touching, letting a lot of the underpainting show through. So you get the shadows that are already there coming through. Pull through like so. There we go. Just make it up as you go, a bit more green. Very lightly touching, dragging it almost. A bit more ultramarine. Blues and magentas to knock it back again. Just want it to be a little bit more seeded over here. It's a bit further away. Same goes to here. Those blues and magentas, a bit of that sky blue and the magenta, takes it back a peg or two. A little bit of a gust coming in now, but should be right because I've got the correct instrument here to keep the wind away, so hopefully it'll be good. Yep. I'll stand back and have a look at that. It's always good to get back and analyse what's going on. Okay. Now I've left a lot of that raw linen where the banks are. Just going to introduce a little bit more colour under a slightly lighter tone than linen. So let's go white, burnt sienna, yellow ochre. So it's still very much an earthy tone like the linen, but hopefully it'll be just a little bit lighter in tone. There's a fair bit of yellow ochre in it. Just feel it on the day. Let's have a look. What's this? We'll just go a little bit darker than that for now. Okay, so I'm letting a lot of the linen show through there. Just go a little bit darker again, get it closer. Those birds are fantastic. Just getting it closer to the tone of the linen so it's a little bit lighter. It's ever so slightly greyer, so I've just thrown a bit of that sky blue in with it. Just very lightly touching here, so as I was saying, a lot of the linen is showing through. Really helped. Going for a bit of a reflection from that bank. Same here. Let's have a look what we got. Really trying to work in a minimalist way today, so I'm letting the linen do as much work as it possibly can. Letting the linen be a major part of the painting. Now the wet sand here on this bank is slightly darker in tone. Even darker again, so burnt siennas, a little bit more blue. Let's have a look. It's got to be darker than the canvas here. Because it's the wet sand. Let's just put the tiniest bit of green. It's got a slight green twang to it, where the wet sand is. It's coming along. Go to a slightly lighter tone over here because I want to draw the eye to this distant headland. So I'm just going to lighten that one a bit so it shows up a bit more. Let's have a look at that. Yeah, so you're getting the effect of the day, and a lot of it's the raw linen, and that's, just do a quick bin run, that's absolutely fantastic because you're really making the most of what you've already got. Just going to soften some of that by rubbing the knife through and then rubbing. Soften some of those tones. You need a clean knife each time. So what I'm trying to do is get that sky blended at the same time. I'm running around doing all sorts of things at once, as usual. Going for the things that need the most work. And at the moment I can see that sky just needs a bit more blending. So that's what I'm doing. Hang on, got to get that clean, so wipe the edge of it clean. There we go. Right, let's have a look at that. Now that's starting to get the effect. You're right. A bit more of those brown reflections. Let's have a look. through, softening all the time, getting the reflection of that bank there. Now, some greys and burnt siennas, using blue to grey and burnt sienna. Just trying to paint a little bit of the shallow water right in front of me. Just blending it, mixing it in so it gradually recedes into that sky colour. Smearing and softening it. That sun's out for a minute, which is interesting. We'll have a look at that. Really lightens up when that sun comes out. It's a good thing. I wish the sun was out the whole time. Okay, hang on. Mix up a bit more of that watercolour. The watercolour becomes more intense, I've noticed, when the sun's out. I'm going to take notice of what's going on today with everything. Sometimes the sun's going to be out, sometimes it's not. Going to go with the whole lot. Build up what I want on the particular day, because it keeps changing, so you might as well take what you want out of it. Let's have a look at that. We'll just put a little bit more richness in the foreground here, some beautiful colours. Wipe that clean. There's a bit of an interesting bit of weed in the middle there, just floating along the top. We'll just knock a bit of that in. It's a nice colour. We'll go for alizarin crimson and yellow ochre. It's quite a interesting, rich red colour. Yellow ochre, a tad of green in it. I'll just put some in first. Let's have a look. Sort of chuffing its way through like so. It's here and there. Lightly pull it through. Make up a slightly greener version of it. I'll make up a light green, so I've got viridian green and white to make a real sparky, bright green by itself. Half mix it with that yellow ochre. Get that really intense green that can go with it. It's floating on top now. There's some slightly darker tones of that weed when it's under the water. So it's burnt sienna, ultramarine blue. Bit of green with that. Just lightly pulling across. Some reds, darkening the tones here, just throwing a few darker tones in the foreground. Some foreground grasses, hang on, there's so much going on here. A little bit of foreground grasses striking up like so, striking up into the picture. Just painting a bit of that foreground. Let's have a look at that. So I'm leaving a lot of raw linen there. Foreground is pretty much just raw linen in itself, which is where I'm standing here. Okay, let's have a look. Okay, I'll get more of those orange and greens and stuff and just Painting a few grasses on the other headland out here, a few upward flecks. Of course there's a few more around here too. Like I said, there's a lot of raw linen in this. That's what I'm trying to keep. Yellow ochre and white. A little bit of cad to even brighten it more. There's some sun just popping through every now and then. It's a beautiful light tone forming in here, and that's going to draw your eye into the centre. So we're obviously going to go quite light there. With whites and oranges like cads and ochres. Kookaburras, eh? Beautiful Australian bird. Fantastic sound they have. Right, so that's really pulling your eye in now because you've got some sort of high key colour. As it gets lower, it's slightly more orange. You can get that orange in the lower clouds by using a burnt sienna. It seems to have receded off then. Right. That's starting to go back nicely. Now I use a bit of that burnt sienna to help soften and blend some of these tones into each other. Keep it soft because you've got to remember that it is the sky and it's clouds, and clouds are always soft. I'm cleaning the knife each time. Wiping and blending. Pulling it all together. Right, let's have a look. Starting to get something. All right, next biggest difference, what would that be? More than likely a few trunks for those trees. They should be there now, that's for sure. All right, dark tone, burnt siennas, ultramarine blue, fairly neutral colour that will start us off with. Knife on the edge. Slightly lighter, so I'll go to burnt sienna with a bit more white. A bit more yellow, ochre. Knife on the edge. Putting in some good drawing. Drawing the branches where you think they should go. I've put a little bit of underpainting so I've got an idea where I want some. Lightly putting them in. Like I said, again, very minimalist, so it's just there. Don't want to overstate. Needs to be a lighter one, that one. I'll go for some more ochres and stuff, some more major trunks over there. Right, the sun's coming out a bit. I'm going to bang some of that colour in the highlights where I want them before it changes. Just in a few places. I don't want to get too carried away, just want it to be lit up like accents. Nice on the edge, draw a nice trunk in there. There's an accent tree. Just going to stay with that theory and keep on drawing a few fine lines, not too many. Just want to draw the eye into where I want the eye to go, of course. It's pretty bright up there, that's good. That's what I wanted. Now, pull that down. Nice and smooth there, really make that great reflective area. Got that headland into it, let's have a look at that. It's lighting up nicely, see? So I'll make a light coloured foliage now with yellow ochre to lighten it. And we'll have some light hitting just a few of these areas here. A little bit of cad colour too. Lightly touching, just lighting up a few areas where the sun's striking. Because we've got the beauty of that light and shadow today, you get to play with a lot of that. You get to put the accents where you want them, because most of the time they're not there and all of a sudden they become there for a second or two. Excuse me, so you get to put them in where you think it's best for the composition. Bit of smoothing. Softening, smoothing. Soften that off, make it really go back, because that's the backdrop. Make that one recede more. Bring the foreground up. Right, hang on, we'll build up a bit of a green again. Some sort of river green. Ugh, fly. Flies are getting onto me. Hang on. It's pretty good without the flies a second ago. Hopefully they'll keep away. Just putting in a few of these, like I said. What I'll do is I'll get the knife and just pull through and wobble it a bit to get that real feeling of when you see that tree reflection kind of take a bit off. That slight shimmer on the water. Sun's come out, got the bright colours, it all seems to be going all right. Yeah, it's good having that sun come out because I've keyed off all this sky, which means I've got a real low-key painting, and then when the sun does come out, you've got great opportunity to put accents because it's so contrasting to what was there, which was all low-key. So now, with the knife on the edge, painting some beautiful highlights. Really pops against the low key. That's what I'm saying about painting in any weather. I'm used to painting with tons of sunlight. Being in Australia, you get a lot of sunlight. But what you've got to realise is you can get a beautiful result painting any day, particularly plein air, because you can pick up the subtleties and really bring them out. So. Right, so the sun's out, like I said, which is great, so I'll just pop in a few highlights. There's a few highlighted rocks on here, which is good. I'll throw a few of them in. Really helps sting it up. Right, stand back, have one more look. Put those highlights where they seem to be asking to be put. Okay, it's building up those beautiful high key oranges against that all that low key work. Alright, that's about it. Okay. Pretty happy with what's going on. Managed to get a striking painting on an overcast day. Light and shadow, low key, bright, the whole works. Alright, well that'll do. Pretty happy with what I've done. I've managed to keep tons of the raw linen. I think the overcast day actually helped that because it really kept it that sort of tone. And then by having the overcast day, it's allowed me to start the painting in a very low key, so nothing's too bright, everything's fairly keyed down. And then when the sun does pop out, it allows you to really put that bright. And because the painting's so dull to start with, those accents really pop and really make the painting flow. You can really lead the eye through. Alright, so I'll get the camera off and we'll have a look and see what you guys think. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. That way you'll be made aware of any of these videos as I upload them. And if you like the video, give us a thumbs up, share it around to all your mates and all that good stuff. Thanks again for watching. We'll get the camera off and we'll have a look. No worries.